so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. So grateful to be back with you. Appreciative to get to share and connect with each and every one of you. Super excited. We crossed the imaginary line of 1,000 reviews on iTunes. And although it's imaginary, it's still inspiring to me. And I so appreciate you all for taking the time to review and continually give me your feedback. It certainly helps to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. So yeah, with that being said, why don't I just read a review and see what the people think, see what is out there. This one is from, I don't know if I can pronounce this, INAKAEDE. Wrote a review and said, a great re-minder. I've been listening for a year or more. If this is your first time listening, sit back, relax, and open your mind, and you won't be sorry you did. This podcast has a variety of topics and guests. There's always something more to learn. Thank you for all your time and energy, Brandon. I'm finally writing my review after today's weirdest manifestation ever. I listened to the episode interview with Brian Ridgway and decided to get his book. Almost right away, you are asked to answer some questions concerning health, wealth, etc. Then you are supposed to feel and imagine into the future the best outcomes for each of the aspects of life that was asked about. Today, the day after I wrote and meditated on my answers, I received a Gallup poll. And what were the questions? Questions about how I see my future, life, wealth, health, etc. I think maybe something went a little sideways. I manifested a questionnaire, not quite what I had in mind. Oh, well, that's, yeah, well, you know, we're all working out the kinks here of manifestation and, steps in the right direction, right? And it's funny that you mentioned Brian Ridgway. Of course, that was someone who was on the podcast, and there was a lot of controversy around weeks later as he started sort of posting in the Facebook group. And in a way that didn't jive, really. And we ultimately had asked him to leave. It's the first time I've had that happen with a SoulShare guest. And then it sort of spiraled into really a lesson for all of us, ultimately, right? It's what it's always about. And so I am appreciative that it happened. But, it's a great example. His teachings, for example, we got to always be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. He had a lot of really great things to say, I feel. I really, stand by them, right? There were some really great things, and probably some great things in his book too. I haven't read it, but that being said, it doesn't mean that, then of course there were some issues that we actually ended up taking a poll in the group, and people wanted him to leave because he was sort of being so abrasive and aggressive. But, that doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot of great things to teach still, right? So we got to always be careful with throwing the baby out with the bathwater with things like, oh, okay, because I don't like this about someone or something, it means everything else is wrong, right? And so I think that was a great lesson that he helped to bring into the Positive Heads Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not there, please come join us. It's an amazing place, typically very peaceful and supportive. A few weeks ago when all that transpired, it got a little wonky there for a minute, but it was a great experience overall, and I think we're better for it. So I'm appreciative to Brian and everyone who participated in that. And thank you for, I won't even try and pronounce it, Inika EDE for taking the time to review. It certainly helps to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And if you haven't reviewed on iTunes, it is the holy grail of all things podcasting. So if you do that, it helps us to reach new people and all the good things. So, all right. Today, I'm going to jump into the second part of Journey of Souls, Chapter 10, Case 22, which is an intermediate soul. I read the first part of this case study 22, which is supposedly an intermediate soul's experience after they pass from physical dimension back into non-physical, and sort of what their journey is like, right? And it comes from the book Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Incredible book. He was, a PhD. He was, doing hypnosis on people and started having people go back to past lives, and then he would ask them what happened after they had the death experience in those past lives. And then he would get like these crazy details of what's going on beyond the veil. And he turned it into multiple books, made it his life work, a big part of his life work. And so we originally, on episode 821, read from the book Journey of Souls. If you want to go back there, that was for a beginner soul story and sort of what their account was on the other side. And then, like I said, episode 852 was the first half. This one was a little longer, this intermediate soul's journey, whose name on the other side, by the way, is supposedly Nintham. And so we read the first half of Nintham's case study, and it was pretty long, so I'm going to finish it up today. But I would recommend going back to listening to episode 852, the first half, if you haven't done so already, of this. And like I said, 821 is the first case study we read. So totally different soul. All right, before I jump into reading this today and exploring beyond the veil, I would like to also throw out one other thing. You guys have heard me say, and even early on the podcast, we did a bunch of shares with one of my favorite festivals that happens every April in Santa Barbara, California, called Lucidity Festival. We did a share, back then, actually one of my first interview style soul shares was with Jonah Haas, one of the co-founders of Lucidity Festival. And then we played a bunch of workshops over months. If you go way back into the early archives, you can hear those workshop recordings from the festival itself. It's an incredible event. It really is so well curated, transformational festival where, I've been, I think, 6 years now. And so it's coming up this April. And so I wanted to, throw it out there for you. They put together a discount code for the P-Heads. So any of you guys who want to go and get $20 off your ticket, use code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word. And it is lucidityfestival.com. is the URL to check out, their site and all the goodness. They were voted the most family friendly festival, I believe, in one of some festival website or magazine or something voted them best, most family friendly in the world. So I thought that was really cool. But it's a good mix of all the things. It really is transformational. There's so much high vibe. I actually gave a talk there a couple years ago, a workshop, and if you go back to one of my favorite episodes of this podcast, number 713, it's actually based off of that talk, outlined from that talk. So it's what I recommend if you're ever introducing someone to the podcast. It's a great first episode, 713, because it's titled "What the Heck is Going On Beyond the Veil of This Reality" or something like that. I can't quite remember. Actually, that's sort of synchronistic with what we're going to read about today, right? But it gives a real good breakdown of the ultimate nature of reality from, my perspective on it, from a scientific, spiritual, perspective. And it's, typically I sort of freestyle these shows, and it's one that's actually outlined based off of that talk I gave years ago at Lucidity. So yeah, if you're ever thinking of which one should I recommend to people who are just sort of waking up to a lot of this information and maybe even kind of skeptical, it's a good one because it really brings science into all of this stuff. And highly recommend it. Had a cool synchronicity, actually, and I can't remember if I shared this or not. The other day I was out and someone, I think I did share it now, but I was out and someone got talking to, they had been suicidal. I was at like a bar, which is very rare for me to be at, and I happened to be there. And then, of course, I'm thinking, well, I'm probably here for a reason. I get talking to this woman, and she starts, kind of opening up how she'd been suicidal, etc. And I played the universe game with her, and I was sort of trying to give her my talk on the ultimate nature of reality, the whole breakdown in this loud bar, and it was hard to hear. And then I had her play the game with the universe towards the end of our conversation and said, pick the first one that comes to your mind, and she chose episode 713. And I'm like, it's so magical you chose that first one that popped into your head, because that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to you here over all this noise. So hopefully she went and listened, but it was pretty cool that she chose that number one episode that I would recommend to most people. All right, let's jump in. Let's find out what else we can learn about Nintham's journey beyond the veil after he crossed over from a previous past life. And this is the second half of case study 22. It's going to start with a little part here of just Michael Newton, Dr. Newton speaking, and then it'll go into sort of what happens is when the person is under hypnosis and in the state, he asks them questions to sort of pry on what's going on, what they're seeing, in their experience on the other side. And in this case, like I said, it's just after this individual passed over, what did you experience after you passed over from that past life? And so it's just picking up there. And I'll try and sort of inflect my voice so you can tell when the doctor's asking a question versus the, Nintham is answering, right? So, but the first little part here is just the doctor summarizing what I read previously. Most of my colleagues who work with past life clients have listened to overlapping time chronologies from people living on Earth in two places at once. Occasionally, there are 3 or more parallel lives. Souls in almost any stage of development are capable of living multiple physical lives, but I really don't see much of this in my cases. Many people feel the idea of souls having the capacity to divide in the spirit world and then attaching to 2 or more human bodies is again all their preconceptions of a singular individualized spirit. I confess that I too felt uncomfortable the first time a client told me about having parallel lives. I can understand why some people find the concept of soul duality perplexing, especially when faced with the further proposition that one soul may even be capable of living in different dimensions during the same relative time. What we must appreciate is, if our souls are all part of one great oversoul energy force which divides or extends itself to create our souls, then why shouldn't the offspring of this intelligent soul energy have the same capacity to detach and then recombine? Collecting information about spiritual activity from souls who are in the higher stages of development is sometimes frustrating. This is because the complex nature of memory and knowledge at these levels can make it difficult to sift out what these people recognize and won't tell me. from what they really don't know. Case 22 was both knowledgeable and open to my questions. This case is compatible with other accounts in my files about the diversity of soul training in the spirit world. Yeah, I'll just speak to that real quick. I think it's an interesting point. It's like, from the ultimate perspective, it's all sort of sliding scale, Russian nested dolls, if you will, here. From the ultimate perspective, I'm everyone that exists simultaneously, right? And then you get down into these, okay, well, let's sort of break it down into smaller, my particular soul packet, right? Okay, what he's talking about here is that can divide into multiple physical lives at the same time. So, if you can, as above, so below, right? If the bigger version of us can divide into infinite parallel lives, it makes sense, as he's saying. What he was trying to get at here is that, so our smaller sort of oversoul, if you will, our higher self can sort of do the same thing. It would make sense, right? All right, here we go. Talking to Nintham. The doctor says, Nintham, I want to turn now to your activities in the spirit world when you are not so busy with Earth incarnations, interacting in soul groups and learning to be a guide. Can you tell me of other spiritual arenas in which you are occupied? Long pause. Yes, there are other areas. I know of them. How many? I can think of 4. What would you call these areas of activity? The world without ego, the world of all-knowing, the world of creation and non-creation, and the world of altered time. Are they worlds which exist in our physical universe? One does. The rest are non-dimensional spheres of attention. All right, let's start with the non-dimensional spheres. Are these 3 areas in the spirit world for the use of souls? Yes. Why do you call all these spiritual areas worlds? I see them as habitations for spiritual life. So 3 of them are mental worlds? Yes, that's what they are. What is the world without ego? It's the place of learning to be. I have heard of it expressed in different ways. Doesn't it involve the beginners? Yes, the newly created soul is there to learn who they are. It's the place of origin. Are the ego identities passed out at random, or is there a choice for beginner souls? The new soul is not capable of choice. You acquire your character based upon the way your energy is, combined, put together for you. Is there some sort of spiritual inventory of characteristics that are assigned to souls? So much of one type, so much of another? I think many factors are considered in the allocations of that which makes us who we are. What I do know is, once given, ego becomes a covenant between oneself and the givers. What does that mean? To do the best I can with who I am. So the purpose of this world is the distribution of soul identity by advanced beings? Yes, the new soul is pure energy with no real self yet. The world without ego provides you with a signature. Then why do you call it the world without ego? Because a newly created soul arrives with no ego. The idea of self has not come into the new soul's consciousness. It is here where the soul is offered meaning to its existence. And does the creation of souls with personhood go on continually? As far as I know, yes. And I want you to answer this next question carefully for me. When you acquired your particular identity as a soul, did that automatically mean you were slated for Earth incarnations in human form? Not specifically, no. Planets don't last forever. I wondered if certain types of souls have an affinity for specific forms of physical life in the universe. I won't argue against that. In your beginnings, Nintham, were you given the opportunity to choose other planetary hosts besides humans on Earth? As a new soul, the guides assist in those selections. I was drawn to human beings. Were you given other choices? Yes, but it's not very clear at the moment. They usually start you on an easy world or two without much to do. Then I was offered service on this severe planet. Earth is considered severe? Yes. On some worlds, you must overcome physical discomforts, even suffering. Others lean towards mental contests. Earth has both. We get kudos for doing well on the hard worlds. We are called the adventurous ones by those who don't travel much. What really appeals to you about Earth? The kinship humans have for each other while they struggle against one another, competing and collaborating at the same time. Isn't that a contradiction? That's what appeals to me. Mediating quarrels of a fallible race which has so much pride and needs of self-respect. The human brain is rather unique, you know. How? Humans are egocentric but vulnerable. They can make their character mean and yet have a great capacity for kindness. There is weak and courageous behaviors on Earth. It's always a push me, pull you tug of war going on with human values. This diversity suits my soul. What are some of the other things about human host which might appeal to the souls who are sent to Earth? Those of us developing on Earth here, a sanction to help humans know of the infinite beyond their life and to assist them in expressing true benevolence through their passion. Having a passion to fight for life. That's what is so worthwhile about humanity. Humans also have a great capacity for malevolence. That's part of the passion, but it's evolving too. And when humans experience trouble, they can be at their best and are quite noble. Perhaps it is a soul which fosters the positive characteristics you suggested? We try to enhance what is already there. Does any soul ever go back to the world without ego after they have once been there and acquired identity? Yes, but I don't want to get into that. Well, then we won't, but I have been told some souls do return if their conduct during physical assignments is consistently irregular. I have the impression they are considered defective and are returned to the factory for a kind of spiritual prefrontal lobotomy. I am offended by that description. Where did you get such a notion? Those souls who have developed severe obstacles to improvement are mended by the restoration of positive energy. Is this procedure just for Earth souls? No. Young souls from everywhere may require restoration as a last resort. Are these restored spirits then allowed to return to their respective groups and eventually go back to incarnating on physical worlds? Yes. How would you compare the world without ego to the world of all-knowing? They are opposites. This world is not for young souls. Have you been to the world of all-knowing? No, I am not ready. I am only aware of it as a place we strive for. What do you know about this spiritual area? It is a place of contemplation, the ultimate mental world of planning and design. I can tell you little about the sphere except it is the final destination of all thought. The senses of all living things are coordinated here. Then the world of all knowing is abstract in the highest form. Yes, it's about blending content with form, the rational with ideals. It is a dimension where the realization of all our hopes and dreams is possible. Well, if you can't go there yet, how come you know about it? We get glimpses as an incentive to encourage us to make that final effort to finish our work and join the masters. The foundations of the spirit world is a place of knowing and has been alluded to under different names by clients. I am given only bare references to this universal absolute because even my advanced subjects have no direct experience there. All souls are anxious to reach and be absorbed by this nucleus, especially as they draw closer and are enticed by what little they can see. I'm afraid the world of all knowing can only be fully understood by a non-reincarnating soul above level 5. That was the doctor's just adding a little insight into what he's seen across the board. Okay, back in. If the world without ego and the world of all knowing are at opposite ends of a soul's experience, then where does the world of altered time fall? This sphere is available to all souls because it represents their own physical world. In my case, it is Earth. Oh, this must be the physical dimension you told me about. No, the sphere of Earth is only simulated for my use. Then all souls in the spirit world wouldn't study the same simulated world? No, each of us studies our own geographical planet where we incarnate. They are physically real, temporarily. And you don't physically live on this simulated world which appears as Earth, you only use it? Yes, that's right, for training purposes. Why do you call this third sphere the world of altered time? Because we can change time sequences to study specific events. What is the basic purpose of doing this? To improve my decisions for life. This study makes me more discriminating and prepares me for the world of all knowing. Note, subjects frequently use the term world to describe non-physical spatial work areas. These regions can be tiny or indescribably large in relation to the soul and may involve different dimensions. I believe there are separate realities for different learning experiences outside the restrictions of time. The coexistence of past, present, and future time in spiritual settings suggested by this case will be explored further in the next 2 chapters with case 23 and 25. We haven't talked about the world of creation and non-creation. This must be the three-dimensional physical world you spoke of earlier. Yes, and we enjoy using it as well. Is this world intended for the use of all souls? No, it is not. I'm just starting to apply myself there. I am considered a newcomer. Well, before we get into that, I want to ask if this physical world is the same as Earth. No, it is a little different. It's larger and somewhat colder. There is less water, fewer oceans, but similar. Is this planet further from its sun than Earth is from our sun? Yes. If I could call this physical world Earth 2, since it seems to be geographically similar to the Earth we know, would it be near Earth 1 in the sky? No. Where is Earth 2 in relation to Earth 1? I can't tell you. Is Earth 2 in our Milky Way galaxy? No, I think it's further away. Could I see the galaxy Earth 2 is located in with a telescope from my backyard? I would think so. Would you say the galaxy containing this physical world is shaped like a spiral as our galaxy, or is it elliptical? How would it look in a telescope from a long way off? As a great extended chain. I can't tell you more. Note, as an amateur stargazer who uses a large reflector telescope designed for deep sky objects, I am always inquisitive when a session takes an astronomical turn. Client responses to these kinds of questions usually fall short of my expectations. I am never sure if this is due to blocking by guides or the subject's lack of a physical frame of reference between Earth and the rest of our universe. Back in. Doctor says, I suppose you go to Earth 2 to reincarnate with some sort of intelligent being? No, that's just what we don't want to do there. When do you want to go to Earth 2? Between my lives on this Earth. Why do you go to Earth 2? We go there to create and just enjoy ourselves as free spirits. And you don't bother the inhabitants of Earth 2? There are no people. It's so peaceful. We roam among the forests, the deserts, and over oceans with no responsibilities. What is the highest form of life on Earth 2? Oh, small animals without much intelligence. Do animals have souls? Yes, all living things do, but they have very simple fragments of mind energy. Has your soul and that of your friends evolved from using lower forms of physical life on Earth 1 after your creation? We don't know for sure, but none of us think so. Why not? Because intelligent energy is arranged by a precedence of life. Plants, insects, reptiles, each is in a family of souls. And all categories of living things are separate from each other? No. The Maker's energy joins the units of every living thing in existence. Are you involved with this element of creation? Oh, no. Well, who is selected to visit Earth 2? Those of us who are connected with Earth come here. This is a vacation spot compared to Earth. Why? There's no fighting, bickering, or striving for supremacy. There's a pristine atmosphere, and all life is quiet. This place gives us an incentive to return to Earth and make it more peaceful too. Well, I do see how this Garden of Eden would allow you to rest and be carefree, but you also said you come here to create? Yes, we do. It is no accident, then, that souls from Earth come to a world that is so similar geographically. That's right. Do other souls who are not earthbound go to physical worlds which resemble those planets where they incarnate? Yes, younger worlds with simpler organisms to learn to create without any intelligent life around. Go on. We can experiment with creation and see it developing here. It's as if you were in a lab where you can form physical things from your energy. Do these physical things resemble what you might see on Earth 1? Yes, only on Earth. That's why I'm here. Start with your arrival on Earth 2 and explain to me what your soul does first. I'm not very good. Note, since this subject is experiencing resistance, I take a few minutes for reconditioning and end with the following. On the count of 3, you will feel more relaxed about telling me what you and Itis consider appropriate for my knowledge. 1, 2, 3. Then I repeat my question. He answers, I look to see what I'm supposed to make on the ground in front of me. Then I mold the objects in my mind and try and create the same thing with small doses of energy. The teachers assist us with control. I'm supposed to see my mistakes and make corrections. Who are the teachers? Itis and Malkafgil, and then in parentheses, subject's highly advanced guide. And there are other instructors around. I don't know them very well. Try to be as clear as possible. What exactly are you doing? We form things. Living things? I'm not ready for that. I experiment with the basic elements, hydrogen and oxygen, to create planetary substance, rocks, air, water, keeping everything very small. Do you actually create the basic elements of our universe? No, I just use the elements available. In what way? I take the basic elements and charge them with impulses from my energy, and they can change. Change into what? I'm good with rocks. How do you form rocks with your energy? Oh, by learning to heat and cool. Dust to make it hard. Do you make the minerals in the dust? They do that for you. The teachers give us the stuff, gas vapors for water making, and so on. I want to understand this clearly. Your work consists of learning to create by causing heat, pressure, and cooling from your energy flow. That's about right, by alternating our currents of energy radiation. So you don't actually produce the substance of rock and water in some chemical way. No, like I told you, my job is to transform things by mixing what I'm given. I play with the frequency and dosages of my energy. It's tricky, but not too complicated. Not complicated? I thought nature did those things. Who do you think nature is? Well, who creates the basic elements of your experiments, the primary substances of physical matter? The maker, and those creating on a grander scale than me. Well, in a sense, you are creating inanimate objects such as rocks. It's more our trying to copy what we see in front of us, what we know. I'm getting into plants, but I can't do them yet. And you start small, experimenting until you get better? That's it. We copy things and compare them against the original so we can make larger models. This all sounds like souls playing as children in a sandbox with toys. We are children. Directing an energy flow resembles the sculpturing of clay. Are the other members of this creative training members of this creative training class from your original cluster group? Some are. Most come from all over in the spirit world, but they have all incarnated on Earth. Does everyone make the same things as you do? Well, of course, some of us are better with certain things, but we help each other. The teachers come around and give us tips and advice on how to improve, but what? If I am clumsy and do a bad job, I disassemble some creations without showing them to IDIS. Give me an example. Plants. I don't apply my energy delicately enough to produce the proper chemical conversions. You're not good with the formation of plant life? No, so I undo my abominations. Is this what you mean by uncreation? You can destroy energy? Energy can't be destroyed. We reassemble it and start over using different combinations. I don't see why the Creator needs your help in creating. For our benefit, we participate in these exercises so that when our work is judged to be of quality, hopefully we can make real contributions to life. If we are all working up the ladder of developments as souls, Nintham, I am left with the impression the spirit world is one huge organizational pyramid with the supreme authority of power at the top. No, you are wrong. It is not a pyramid. We are all threads in the same long piece of fabric. We are all woven into it. It's hard for me to visualize fabric when there are so many levels of competency for souls. Think of it as a moving continuum rather than souls being in brackets of highs and lows. I always think of souls moving up in their existence. I know you do, but consider us moving across. Give me something I can picture in my mind. It's as if we are all part of a universal train on a flat track of existence. Most of the souls on Earth are in one car moving along the track. Are all the other souls in different cars? Yes, but all are on the same track. Where are the conductors, such as IDIS? They move back and forth between the connected cars, but sit closer to the engine. Where's the engine? The maker? Up front, naturally. Can you see the engine from your car? No, but I can smell the smoke. I can feel the engine rumbling along, and I can hear the motor. It would be nice if all of us were closer to the engine. Ultimately, we will be. From what I am able to determine, souls are expected to begin familiarizing themselves with the forces of creation by the time they are solidly established in Level 3. Exposure to plant photosynthesis takes place before student souls work up the organic scale of life. I am told that early creation training consists of souls learning relationships between substances to develop the ability of unifying their energy with different values in the elements. The formation of inanimate to animate objects from the simple to the complex is a long, slow process. Students are encouraged to create miniature planetary microhabitants for a given set of organisms which can adapt to certain environmental conditions. With practice comes improvement, but not until they approach level 5 do my clients begin to feel they might actually contribute to the development of living things. We will hear more about this with case 23. However, many of my clients won't or can't talk about creation. Some souls seem to have a natural gift for working with energy in their creation classes. My cases indicate ability in a creation assignment does not mean a soul is at the same level of advancement in all other areas of the spiritual curricula. A soul may be a good technician in harnessing the forces of creation, but lack the subtle techniques of a competent guide. Perhaps this is why I have been given the impression that the highly advanced soul is allowed to specialize. In the previous chapter, I explained some benefits of soul solitude, and the last case gave us another example. Spiritual experience is not easily translated into human language. Case 22 talks about the world of altered time as a means of transient planetary study. To someone in trance, it is the timeless mental world that is true reality, while all else is an illusion created for various benefits. Other subjects at about the same level call the sphere of transformation, or simply rooms of recreation. Here I am told souls are able to meld their energy into animate and inanimate objects created for learning and pleasure. One subject said to me, "I think of what I want and it happens. I know I am being assisted. We can be anything familiar to our past experiences." For instance, souls can become rocks to capture the essence of density, trees for serenity, water for flowing cohesiveness, butterflies for freedom and beauty, and whales for power and immensity. People deny these actions represent former earthly transmigrations. I have also learned souls may become amorphous without substance or texture and totally integrate into a particular feeling, such as compassion, to sharpen their sensitivity. Some subjects tell of being mystical spirits of nature, including figures I associate with folklore, such as elves, giants, and mermaids. Personal contact with strange mythological beasts are mentioned as well. These accounts are so vivid, it is hard for me to simply label them as metaphoric. Are the old folk tales of many races pure superstition or manifestations of shared souled experience? I have the sense that many of our legends are the sympathetic memories of souls carried from other places to Earth long ago. Okay, that is the end of Nintham's journey, that intermediate soul. Quite incredible, huh? Apparently, we keep doing it. We keep doing it on different scales, different levels. You are just warming up. Isn't that so encouraging to know that, so many people are caught up in oh, my life is coming to an end. The best days are behind me. You are like an infant and you have eternity in front of you. And that is certainly encouraging. Speaking of recreation rooms, I decided to pick Man in a Room today randomly, not knowing I would read about recreation rooms. And this song, short but sweet, seems like something, when I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, this would be good with Journey of Souls. It sounds like something that flows with Journey of Souls, something you would hear beyond the veil, right? And the song by Man in a Room here is called Flow Tokyo. Till next time, I hope you all flow easily, with grace, with ease, with joy. Journey well. Love you all so much. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO Universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE, and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and greatest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Washes everything.